My friends, what's happening in Washington is the biggest theft of victory in modern history. The scenario I'm about to describe to you now sounds like a spy movie, but it's the raw reality that the mainstream media is trying to hide from you. But no, I won't allow it. The United States has just dealt the biggest military blow that Iran has ever seen in its modern history. The Iranian Navy is at the bottom of the sea. The nuclear and missile facilities have been turned into smoldering craters. And the naval blockade is choking the regime's economy like a noose. The terrorist proxies, with Hezbollah at the forefront, are fighting for their very survival. Victory was right there, within reach. And what happened? Well, instead of celebrating total surrender, the Vice President of the United States, Joe Vance, landed in Pakistan, sat at the table with the Iranians, and offered exactly what Donald Trump had sworn: never to give, the right to enrich uranium after 20 years. Welcome to the return of Obama's machine. I'm going to show you now how the ghosts of the past are hijacking Trump's legacy to save the Ayatollah's regime, and why this is an unprecedented betrayal of the American people and Israel's allies. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video. Now look at the level of this. Pay attention. That same propaganda machine that for over a decade sold the American people the worst deal in modern history as if it were world peace is back. They are sharper, more cynical, and have a new target: to convince Donald Trump to accept a deal that he himself called a total failure when he tore up the original in 2018. Robert Milley, the man who negotiated the original deal and was suspended for allegedly leaking intelligence secrets, has already come out of hiding, drooling with happiness. He said that if they managed to suspend it for a few years, it's better than what we had. Translation: for those who don't speak bureaucrat language, we're going to give Iran time to rebuild everything in secret, like they always do. Trita Parsi, the Iranian lobbyist who carries an American green card and lives off George Soros's money, is laughing in Trump's face, saying he has no choice. David Ignatius, the columnist who helped fabricate the Russiagate hoax, completes the trio by saying that the risk of conflict is too great for Trump. They are lying again. As always, they want you to believe that peace is only possible if we kneel before the world's biggest sponsor of terrorism. Because the truth is not harsh, my friends. Trump won on the battlefield. The American and Israeli armed forces crushed the Iranian nuclear program. They turned the axis of resistance into an axis of rubble. The regime is cornered with no way out, and only one trump card remains in the hands of the Ayatollahs: half a ton of highly enriched uranium that is buried under the rubble from precision bombing. Trump's order was clear: hand it over or the war will come back even worse. Trump knows this. He said it clearly: zero enrichment, never. Not today, not 20 years from now, not ever. He doesn't want 90 or 95%, he wants it all, but Joe wins. The darling of the isolationists who think Israel is the world's problem went off script, and it wasn't by chance. The problem goes much deeper. Wins is not an Obama infiltrator. He's something worse. A man who believes that the real enemy is not in Tehran, but in American influence in the Middle East and in the voters who support Israel. His mentor, Tuck Carlson, has already warned that there are people in the White House working late to achieve a peace that diminishes us. They want to sacrifice victory so as not to upset the Iranian lobby and the globalist left. And this is where the real enemy comes in. The scandal that no one has the courage to touch, but I'm going to bring it to you. The old disinformation apparatus isn't just a group of nostalgic former employees. It's a permanent infrastructure that Barack Obama built to sell the nuclear deal as perfect. Those famous sunset clauses that expired on their own and allowed Iran to resume enrichment. Well, they were ignored by the media. The fact that Iran could develop ballistic missiles without any limits while the world looked the other way was silenced. Obama's promise that Iran would never have a bomb was a blatant lie, and anyone who pointed this out at the time was called a radical or a warmonger for Israel. And that same machine of lies was recycled to manufacture Russiagate. It's the same journalists, the same think tanks, the same usual experts. And when the people started to question, they burned their own credibility to protect the system. They did it with COVID, they did it in the elections, and now they want to repeat the trick with Trump. If he signs any 2.0 version of this agreement, Obama wins peace by default. The Iranian regime gets the time it needs to build its centrifuges, and the narrative that Trump is a crazy warmonger becomes fully established. Even worse, Joe Vance is buying political time for himself. He needs to distance himself from the war so he doesn't carry that burden in 2028. That's why we saw that convenient leak to the New York Times saying that Vance warned Trump it was a bad idea. That's why he characterizes the talks with the Iranians as progress, even when they laugh in his face and reject all the American red lines. The Iranians aren't stupid. They know they only have one card left, enriched uranium. Giving that up is total surrender of the regime. It's proof that they were defeated militarily, and it's proof that the regime no longer exists. That's why they will resist until the very last second, counting exactly on the internal pressure that the cartel of lies is creating in the United States. And then you ask, but what about the American people? Well, they're still being treated as useful idiots in this story. Meanwhile, the same people who used to shout no war against Iran are now hoping that Trump gives in. The same people who used to call Netanyahu a warrior now portray him as a manipulator who fooled Trump. The hypocrisy is so blatant that it's almost brilliant. Trump has in his hands a historic choice that will define his legacy forever. He can give in to the pressure from the old guard, the isolationists, and the globalist media, and sign an agreement that will shame his legacy. Or he can do what he always promised, finish the job and make sure Iran never ever gets a bomb, because Iran doesn't want peace. My friends, Iran wants time. And Obama's echo doesn't want American security. He wants to turn the plan of transforming the world's biggest sponsor of terrorism into a respectable nuclear power. The war is almost over. Victory is within reach and shining under the desert sun. The only question that remains is this: will Trump let Obama's ghosts steal this from him? Or will he remember that the people elected him twice to put America first and destroy evil at its root? And this is not an isolated case. It's the system's pattern that has merged with the worst elements to stay in power. And look, disguised as right-wing, disguised as conservatives. So be careful with the cheering, because the enemies are inside. But the truth is the only thing they can't censor outside our borders. The military victory was achieved with blood and technology, but the political victory is being sabotaged from within by those who should be on the president's side. The siege has closed in and the time for decision has come. The uranium is still there, waiting for now. And the world is watching to see if the leader of the free world will have the courage to truly be free. But I want to know from you, do you understand the gravity of what's at stake? Do you think Trump will have the strength needed to stand up to his own vice president and Obama's machine to finish the job? Comment here. Or will the system be able to break the man who promised never to give in? Your opinion is the only one the system still fears. Your perception of reality is what prevents the lie from becoming absolute truth. And pay attention, because if you stand for the unfiltered truth, far from this globalist propaganda that tries to deceive us in every video, you need to be where the system can't reach us. Here on the screen is the QR code for our exclusive and uncensored platform. They can't get us there. There we can say names, mention dates, data, well, all the things we can't talk about here without being labeled as a conspiracy theory. So there we go deeper into everything, and I'll be waiting for you there at this launch. There are already more than 3,000 members who fund what we bring here and help us deliver the truth without whining, without culture walkie. Speaking of which, we created a channel about series and movies with wonderful tips for you to enjoy with your family, and about series and movies that are being talked about. Exactly, it seems like they predicted what would happen in the Middle East. Well, do you want to see the modus operandi of Mossad and the CIA? Follow our series and movies channel. The card is right here, showing up, and the link to our platform is in the video description and in the first pinned comment. Now shield your mind and get ready for the next video. I'm Shimon Oliveira and I'll be waiting for you there.